Hey Aditi, how are you?
I'm doing good, Mr. Jacob Heggs. How are you?
Doing very good. Thank you for being here today. It's exciting to have you.
It's exciting to have you because you just celebrated your birthday and you are an engaged man, which is
Yes, it was a good
leveling up.
weekend.
It's you're leveling up in all areas of life. It's did you propose to her through Google Docs?
I tried, I was thinking about it, then I'm like, you're taking it too far.
That's awesome. No, congratulations.
Thank you, thank you. I didn't get an I'm in, I got a yes, but
Yay. DM, I'm in. Oh my gosh. Wonderful,
yeah,
wonderful.
that's good. So, I mean, this is like just, a casual chat. You've done really well since we've been working together. So I think it's just an opportunity for us to break a few of your learnings down. So I'd love to kind of start this off with you telling us a little bit of background about yourself,
Yeah,
what you do.
yeah. Still figuring out what I do. The identity, but my name is Aditi Paul, and I'm based in the New Jersey, New York area. And by that I mean New Jersey. Nobody from New York has ever said they're based in the New York, New Jersey area. So that's an insider joke. But I started creating content in 2022, unbeknownst to the idea of a personal brand. I just knew that I wanted to have some sort of online presence. And at that time, I was trying to sell my book online, which I had just written about collegiate hookup culture. And I was trying to get out of my as a professor into um, industry. And I got in touch with somebody at that point to figure out how can I leverage LinkedIn to promote myself as the best researcher in the world. She is a personal branding coach from India, Mumbai, and she listened to all that I had to talk about. And she said, Aditi, out of all the things that you told me, your immigration journey to the US is the most appealing. And I'm like, man, do I want to be another brown person talking about how great America is? And like that I got a green card and like I finally got approval from the Western world. I'm like, do I want to be that person? And I'm like, you know what? Screw it. I'm just going to write it, and that went viral. And it was not because I got a green card that made this viral. It was me vocalizing the frustrations and
Mm.
the setbacks and the behind closed door struggles that a lot of us go through, but not really openly talk about, and the disproportionate amount of work that a certain nationality has to do to belong to the US compared to others. So that went viral, and I just ran with that. In 2024, I had created a whole bunch of content, had grown my social media profile to like what 30,000 dollars, and I had made small to low ticket offers, but I really wanted to make big ticket offers. That's where I came to Jacob, and we started working in March. And since then, whatever investment I had made in Jacob's program, I have made that 5 times over. So no complaints here. No complaints here.
No, it always kind of like for me to see the impact of when you stepped in and how you've evolved by modeling and doing has we've had a lot of fun, I have to
Yeah,
say.
yeah. I mean, it's always been fun. I give it up to Jacob to like not give up on me, because I was that when he talks about dream clients, I'm like, Jacob, I was not a dream client, man. Like not by a far reach. I was dilly dallying so much, not because I did not have faith in Jacob, because Jacob came as a referral from another friend of mine. And I really liked her sense of writing. And I'm like, okay, I want to know who she is getting her training from. And she said, oh, you know what? I just started working with this guy called Jacob. And what I really liked about him, he's not like this pushy kind. He's pretty chill. And I'm like, that's kind of my vibe, because I don't like these hoped out Instagram bros. They are like, if you're not making like 15 videos, you're losing out. I'm making $100,000 in a minute. Like, what are you doing? And I'm like,
Yeah.
oh, chill the fuck out a little bit. Like, I just got here. Can you please? calm down. And when I got on a call with Jacob, first of all, the first call I had canceled on him. I'm
Yeah,
telling
I
you,
remember that.
live. And I'm like, Jacob, I'm like, I can't be on the call. And the second call I get with him, and he told me his business structure. And I'm like, okay, fine, I'm gonna do a week to week basis. And then I'm like, okay, this money is going out of my bank, but I'm not doing anything per week. Let me just pause it. And I'm like in his Slack community, just sitting there marinating. And then one day Jacob comes in, he's like, hey Aditi, just wondering,
Are you
are you are
alive?
you is it RIP season on your end, or like what is happening? And at this time, I'm again going for a career transition. So here I have like, okay, Jacob is not cheap. Okay, he's charging for the value that he's providing, and I just went through a job transition, and I'm like, okay, do I go ahead and look for another job, or do I go all in? And I told Jacob, what do I do? And he's like, okay, if you're committed to it, we're gonna make it work. And I'm like, okay, fine, let me just bite the bullet and like pay you the down payment. I want one-on-one time with you. I need to figure this shit out to make it work. And the job transition happened. My job was terminated on Friday. Uh, Prior to that, I had been meeting Jacob one on one for 2 weeks, had a semblance of an idea that I had an offer, but it had to be fleshed out. The Friday that my job got terminated, got on a call with Jacob, and I said, we need to make this offer. And we polished it up over the weekend. I was supposed to launch it the Friday after. I have no chill. I'm like, I'm doing it one day.
Right
And
away.
I'm gonna be like, listen, fuck it. Um, and I launched it on Monday using a meme, and I got 135 leads. And by the time I had officially launched it on Friday, I know Jacob is going to be like, he doesn't do discovery calls and like sales calls, but I was just jumping on this bandwagon of making big ticket offers. So unbeknownst to Jacob, I did get on some discovery calls, but I did also do Google Docs. But one thing led to the other, and within 1 week of my job termination, I had closed what, like 3 or 5 clients, and by the end of the month, I was working with 9.
Just fantastic. I mean, the way that you swayed this from, being laid off to actually starting your solopreneurship journey
Yeah,
in the flip of a switch was just fascinating to see.
yeah, yeah. It was. But you know what? Like now that I'm on the other side and I see how solopreneurship works, and what I do want to caution people, because I am that person who gets into a lot of FOMO, where when I see things like, oh my gosh, this person made like $20,000 in a month, we really don't think about all the work that has happened before that got
Yeah.
them to a position to make $20,000. And I would be lying if I said that the 1.5 years of work that I had done did not have to play a role. It had a significant role to play. But I will also tell you this, that I needed to, in Jacob's terms, awaken those sleeping leads, because they were waiting for my offer. It's not that
Mhm.
I was sleeping on them. They were not sleeping on me. And that trigger kind of helped me really lean into it. It was scary. It is still scary. I'm very much at the beginning of my career as a high ticket solopreneur, or a mid, it depends on what you call high. But somebody who has a core offer, and is working with a select few clients, I do want to say the compounding effect is very, very real. And I'm so glad that I dug the well before I was thirsty, so I had water to drink when I was.
That's actually a really good anecdote you had there. Like, since you mentioned that you had this thing sizzling, so they were waiting for you. If you had any sort of advice to someone 2 steps behind you in this journey, what would it be?
2 steps behind me on this journey. I'll give you this. My role, my identity as an Indian had a lot to play in the way this has turned out. When you go to India, India is a very low trust country. Like, we
Mhm.
are swindled by our own kind so much, we don't have to wait for somebody else to come swindle us, right? Like, so we're always very cautious of another person, right? So
Mhm.
if you have to build a business, trust plays a huge role, right?
Mhm.
So if I have to give any feedback or any advice to a person two steps behind me, what I would say, and I constantly tell myself this as well: does your audience trust you, right? How do you build that trust with your audience? And you have to give before you get. uh,
Mhm.
this whole like traditional business mindset really does not work in this creator economy. They have to see what you can provide before they sign up for your services, and that's where I think Jacob's frameworks really work, because you give, but to a certain extent, which is amuse bouche for them enough so that they want to eat the whole meal. You don't give away the whole meal. I did give away meals on meals. I was running a soup, but it's in retrospect, I don't think that was wasted work. It
Mhm.
had a lot. The role that trust had to play and still plays is huge. So the advice I would give you is learn how to build and cultivate trust with your audience. If it comes through humor, do it. I post memes a lot of times, right? I roast my audience sometimes as
Yeah.
well. That's something that I got from stand-up comedians, right? Like, even when you're thinking about your friendships, right?
Mhm.
I don't know about you, Jacob, but the way my friendships work, like, if you're really close to me, you're gonna get burnt by me on
Oh yeah.
daily, right? Like, I am taking jabs at you. Like, we are making fun of each other, right? Like, but in doing so, you're showing that I trust you enough, I know you enough, so that I can take jabs at you. So that is a subliminal way of cultivating trust. There are other ways of cultivating trust as well, like you give people before you ask them to get anything from you. That's the
Yeah.
advice I give.
No, that's amazing. And the thing you said with like entertainment, always like people online and stuff, like everybody has their own life and own path, but like you make somebody laugh and all of a sudden they're on your side. Like you're breaking that in like pattern interrupt, right? So memes are just the best way, especially in our generation, just to resonate, to get your
Yeah.
message.
I mean,
Uh,
think about the last time you spoke to your best friend and think about the number of memes you have sent them. Like, we relate to each other through memes. We relate to each other through reels.
mhm.
But again, you know what? Like, that's one way. Of course, that's one way. But I always keep thinking about Ashley, who's also one of Jacob's students. She writes so poetically. My goodness, like, that woman, she writes so poetically. She talks about the pain that academics go through, but it resonates, like, it
Yeah.
deeply resonates with the other person. My go-to strategy is humor, right?
Yeah.
To relate, to resonate. Her go-to strategy is by, like, deeply compassionate writing, but the underlying denominator is, like, do you relate to your audience? And again, like, I want to give it up to Jacob, who has really taught us to, like, speak to the emotion, right? Like, talk about the thing that nobody wants to talk about. And he said that, like, I'm not getting leads. Well, that's just the surface level, right? What you're really worried about is, I don't have money in my bank.
Yeah.
And I'm like, damn, that's some psychology shit, right? Like, I love that. I love that. I love being raw. I love being true. And that's something that I'm still learning from Jacob, how to replicate that in writing.
Yeah, so I mean, on that note, there's one thing I think we spoke about the other day, which was like when you joined, you said you lacked some sort of structure or system that we dialed in together to make
Mm.
things a little bit more predictable. Could you tell me a little bit about, once you did put that system in, what happened?
Yeah. What happened? Paranoia. Anxiety. um, okay, here's what I'll tell you. Jacob's program has a lot of breadth, right? Um, that could for good or for bad, it has a lot of breadth, right? Like there are people who are just learning how to create content, how to write, right? And this is something that I had known when I came into Jacob's program. I'm giving like an honest appraisal of what Jacob's program is, so you know what you're getting into. So Ashley did say that, like when I talked to Jacob, she did say that, like, people in Jacob's, a particular percentage of Jacob's programs, the students are learning how to create content, are learning how to build their following. Ashley and I had crossed that bridge, right? But what Ashley and I, and unfolding her into the conversation, is we were not, we did not have what it takes to create a big ticket item.
Hmm.
We didn't know that. I didn't know that. My strategy was, again, I have a wholesale strategy, I have a Costco strategy, right? Like, okay, instead of selling one person a $750 item, I'm going to sell 10 people $75 items. And I
Hmm.
did that. And I did that for a year and a half. But then that would have been my go-to strategy in 2024 as well. And if you go back to my LinkedIn profile, you will see that I started with that I started this masterclass
Hmm.
with an immigration lawyer for educating immigrants, and I priced it at what, like $75. We
Hmm.
made money. We made like over 2K.
Hmm.
The amount of effort that I had to put, the amount of preparation that I had to put for that, that was exponentially more than what I was making.
Yeah.
Right. But I could put the same amount of effort, right? That's what one of my friends said, that the amount of energy that it takes to sell a $75 item is the same amount of energy that it takes to sell a $750 item,
Yeah.
right? Like, why don't you do that then? And I'm like, okay, I will do that, but I really don't know how to. I don't know how to put a structure around it. I don't know how to talk about my offer. I don't know how to close. And even when I learned that, I was tracking my sales, and I had an honest conversation with Jacob. I'm like, Jacob, this percentage is the amount of percentage I'm closing through Google Docs. This is how much I'm closing through discovery calls. How do I bridge it? And then you keep reiterating. But fact of the matter is, Jacob gave me that framework of like, what is it that you need to have in a big ticket item? Who's it for? What are they getting? How do you articulate that? And how do you deliver? And that was a value prop that I got from Jacob's program that I did not get from previous mentors who I'd worked with.
No, that is amazing. Thank you. It's always like it hits the heart because like seeing that transition from the outside really helps. So I think on that note, I'd love to ask, like this month you've had tremendous success, in terms of booking yourself out and everything that you mentioned. Why do you think you had that success?
It's not what I think would have been a good product. It's what the market needs.
Yeah.
Right? Like, you're providing a value that the market needs. Just like Jacob, right? I mean, he keeps harping on the fact that you don't have to do a gajillion calls. You don't have to send outbound messages. You've already created your credibility. Why don't you waken those uh, sleeping leads, right? Like those
Mhm.
dormant leads. You have what it takes to write copy and sell that. And if you're not being able to close through Google Docs, maybe get on a sales call, but reduce it from an hour to 15 minutes and get the job done,
Mhm.
right? Like, these are real pain points that people have. I'll give you a compare and contrast. The reason why I think my working relationship with Jacob has been a success is because he is the mentor I needed at the time, right? And
Mhm.
he is the mentor I need at the time because he guarantees you make 10K per month. He doesn't guarantee you make $100,000 per month, right? So he is the mentor who's 10 steps ahead of me, not 100 steps ahead of me,
Yeah.
where your solution becomes unrelatable to me.
Yeah.
Compare my working relationship with Jacob to somebody else who's also my friend, and he is working with a mentor who has a scaled system, and he is providing advice to my friend which are in tandem with somebody who has a scaled system, but he doesn't. So
Yeah.
he's not achieving success. So it's not that the mentor is bad, that the mentor just doesn't relate to you,
Yeah,
right?
and what happens like over time, right? Is I've also been in this boat where you go to receive mentorship and somebody's so many steps ahead
Right.
that they almost forgot what it's like to be in that position. So we always kind of say small promises are easy to keep,
Yeah.
right? And when I speak or when we teach or whatever it is, like that 10K is just something that I've done and got comfortable with.
Right.
And obviously there are students that make less than that or 20 times more than that.
Yeah.
But you can't make a claim that you don't feel attached to energetically. Otherwise, you're also lying to yourself
Yeah.
and lying to the others. And what you said before with like, so we always laugh about the Google Docs and no sales calls. You know, the amount of times people have come and left because they're like, I want to scale a big team. I want to have setters and closers. And I'm like, listen, I'm not your guy.
I'm
And
not
I'll
your
point
guy.
them exactly to that direction so they can have what it takes.
Yeah. Yeah.
That was
You
pretty good insight.
also, something that you told me, when we started was you, and this is like the rule of thumb for LinkedIn growth anyway,
Mhm.
that if you are everything to everybody, you're nothing to nobody.
Yeah.
You cannot be, and that's something that I'm like, damn, thank you, Jacob, for saying that, because I have seen and I still see people, right, when they'll just post, they want to be the messiah of information, right? And something that Jacob said kind of stuck with me. This is a great sales pitch for Jacob, by the way. I'm just saying,
Thank
like,
you.
I need 5 one-on-one calls with you for free. Thing. So he said that if you keep posting, and I don't know if it was you, Jacob, or it was something else, but I think it's you, where he said that, like, if you keep posting generic content, when somebody lands on your page, they don't know who you are. Like, they don't know what you can offer,
Yeah.
right? And that was a trap I was falling into, where I am not your immigration news channel. I'm not, right? I don't want to be like that person who, like, talks about, oh, the latest immigration breakthrough is here and here's the information.
Yeah.
To do that, right? I am here to teach you how to build a profile that qualifies you for a talent visa so you can stay in the US for short and long term. That's me, right? And is it boring to, like, create the same content over and over again? Absolutely. That's the wall that I was hitting. But then Jacob said that learn how to say the same thing in different ways, and that's the
Yes.
skills that you need to grow, right? And that just sharpens your mind. And I truly am excited to do that, right? Like, how can I say the same thing in 5 different ways through 5 different formats: mid funnel, low funnel, high funnel, whatever you call it? That's like a mind game for me, which I truly enjoy. And I don't know what the question was, Jacob, but yeah, that's something that I have gained from being in conversation with you and being plugged into the ecosystem that you have created, be it through the Tuesday workshops, be it through the Slack community, just being immersed in that juice, you're going to absorb something at the end of the day.
And what you said is really cool because like you want your name to be associated to that one thing, right? You might say LeBron James and you think basketball immediately. You
Right.
might say Tony Robbins, you think life coaching or any sort of thing. And the best cash months, the best impact is done when you just keep repeating it.
That's
Because
right.
at the end of the day, the only person who knows your content more than anyone else is you.
Is me.
Everybody else needs that time the same way we learn anything.
Yeah.
So I think, I've got one more question for you, which is to kind of close on, which, when you did decide to invest in Modern Maker, obviously we had a chat and there was some beliefs in you or things, but I'm curious, like, what was that major decision maker that made you pull the trigger personally or mentally or whatever it was?
I think it was, oh my gosh, I'm going to sound like that hippie, but I'll say it. I have, by the time that I met you, I had been looking for a mentor, right? Like, I was in the market. I'm like, who do I sign up with? Like, who is that person, right? Like I knew I had to scale. Uh,
Mhm.
and the person who I was working with in 2022, she too gave me a framework of like how to get clients, and I was not comfortable with that, right? So I was looking, and there's something to be said about this statement, which says like, when the student is ready, the master appears. That's what I think happened, right? Where I needed somebody who I could feel comfortable reaching out and saying that, okay, Jacob, this is where I am, this is where I want to be, how do I do it?
Mhm.
And I didn't want that relationship to be intimidating. I didn't want to feel dumb in that relationship. I didn't want to feel that this is the only way to do it. And if you're not doing it, there's something wrong with you. Um, I didn't want to feel that. And Jacob checked off those boxes. Now, is he like the most like module one, module two, this weekly tracker? I do like that, but that's not the KPI that I got from Jacob. Instead, the KPI that I got from Jacob was like, okay, Jacob, week to week, I'm doing this. This is where I'm getting stuck. What do you think I should do? And I feel comfortable enough, and I want you to latch onto that word, that you need to feel comfortable with a mentor, right? Like it cannot be that you are thinking 9,000 times before approaching them. Yes, you have respect for them, but you also have the comfort in saying, yo, Jacob, like I know Google Docs is your jam, but I, for fuck's sake, cannot close shit. Like, what is happening? Right? Like, instead of saying that, oh my gosh, like Jacob, like Google Docs clearly works for other people, like it's not working with me, what's going on? I didn't feel that. I
Yeah.
felt like with Jacob, I can tell him that, okay, the strategy that is your masterstroke, I'm having some resistance. What's going on? What are those variables that we can work together?
Mhm.
Never for a second made it sound like that's on you, right? You
We
go out,
figured it out.
you figure it out, like, and it's that comfort that you need with somebody. And
Mhm.
this is something I'd learned with my PhD days as well, because I have hunted for status and I have been burnt really bad. I'd rather work with a mentor who cares than a mentor who is a star.
Of course, and thank you for those words. They mean a lot. I mean, and vice versa, right? Like we're here to have fun, we're here to make money, we're here to excel, we're here to have an impact. And I think if it's not fun, there is no point to the whole thing, right? At the
Yeah.
end of the day, like you said, you know a lot of things I don't. I know a lot of things you don't, and it's a shared experience. So, I mean, thank you so much for the time and the honesty. I think this was a really fun jam. I just wanted to ask, like, where's the best place to find you, so we can drop it in the
Give you my
comments.
address and my social security. I'm kidding. Also, I'll add one thing which I haven't told Jacob, but I want you to know that the one quality of Jacob that I truly respect. I'm not saying it because he didn't pay me anything. Like I'm still waiting for my watermelons. Come on. So, but one, the one thing that I really, truly, truly, truly appreciate about Jacob that I've observed is during his Tuesday workshops, he doesn't lose his calm, right? Like everybody is asking all these questions, and he has never cut people off, right? He's never done that. He's never ended a call with like questions pending, even if it goes beyond that. Everybody is so comfortable in asking Jacob. And that I am not that person, right? I get short very quickly and I'm like, I get into solution mode. So observing the qualities in your mentor that you want to replicate and that being modeled is something that I cannot stress on enough. So thank you, Jacob, for saying that. You don't have to say thank you. I just want you to know this. You can find me on LinkedIn. My handle is Dr. Aditi Paul, and you can find me on Instagram too. But I'm far cooler on LinkedIn. My memes are funnier on LinkedIn. Instagram, I'm just trying. But yeah, LinkedIn is the best place to get in touch with me.
No, thank you so much. I think I'd love for this to be a part of the video. We're gonna do a screenshot for the thumbnail.
Pikachu!
3, 2, 1, yay!
But is Pikachu a part of your universe?
Yes, of course. There's loads of them behind me.
what can I do for my universe? I don't know. Now I'm thinking about it, like, because the other day I'm watching this video of this guy who's like 30 days, 30 videos. And I was so close to like messaging him, like, Jacob, would you consider this as a butter boy?
We're gonna get the people curious on what this is.
Is this butter boy behavior?
Yes, it is.
That is butter boy behavior. It's so cool. I mean, I truly enjoy how you practice what you preach. So yeah, I hope this was helpful.
No, it was. Thank you so much.
Yeah, awesome. Let me know if there is anything that I can do on my side.